The Creepy Clown, a Birthday Party Nightmare. Tommy's birthday had arrived with all the cheerfulness expected of a child's special day. The house was festooned with brightly colored streamers. Helium balloons floated lazily against the ceiling, and the sweet aroma of freshly baked cake wafted through the rooms. Friends and family bustled about, their laughter and chatter blending into a joyous hum. Yet, amidst the warmth of celebration, an air of unease settled in the corners of the house, an unease that none could quite place. The theme of the party was clowns, a choice made by Tommy himself. Ever since he was a toddler, he had been fascinated by them, their exaggerated expressions, their playful antics, the way they seemed to exist in a world entirely their own. So, when his parents had promised to hire an entertainer for his birthday, his excitement had known no bounds. At precisely 3 p.m, the doorbell rang. Tommy's mother, still arranging snacks on the dining table, called out for his father to answer it. When he swung open the door, a towering figure stood framed against the golden afternoon light. The clown was unlike any they had ever seen before. His costume, though vibrant in color, had an antiquated air about it, frayed edges, fabric dulled with time. His face paint was meticulously applied, but the exaggerated grin appeared more sinister than jovial, and his eyes, seemed too intense, too knowing. A hush fell over the gathering as he stepped inside, his movements slow and deliberate. Then, with an exaggerated flourish, he tipped his hat, revealing a cascade of confetti that burst forth in a shimmering cascade. The children squealed with delight, and the momentary hesitation in the air dissipated like mist under the sun. Tommy, in particular, was enthralled. He clapped his hands, grinning from ear to ear, oblivious to the wary glances exchanged among the adults. The clown introduced himself as Mr. Jingles, his voice a deep, velvety baritone. His tricks were peculiar, unsettling even. Instead of the expected balloon animals, he twisted the balloons into grotesque shapes, elongated figures with too many limbs, grinning faces that seemed more menacing than amusing. His jokes, rather than eliciting laughter, prompted nervous chuckles, and whenever he laughed, it was a sound that seemed to echo long after it should have faded. Tommy, however, remained undeterred. He watched, enraptured, as Mr. Jingles performed a card trick, his nimble fingers flipping the deck with remarkable precision. Then, as the final trick of the evening, Mr. Jingles turned to Tommy and beckoned him forward. "A special trick?" he murmured, pulling a single gleaming coin from his pocket. "For the birthday boy." Tommy reached out, eager to participate, but the moment his fingers brushed against the coin, a strange sensation gripped him. A chill ran up his spine, and for the first time he hesitated. The clown's grin widened, his eyes glinting with something unreadable. Then, in a sudden burst, the lights flickered, the room plunged into darkness, and a collective gasp filled the space. Parents fumbled for their phones, children whimpered in confusion. The only illumination came from the candles flickering atop Tommy's birthday cake, casting eerie shadows along the walls. When the lights snapped back on, Mr. Jingles was gone. A stunned silence settled over the gathering. Tommy's mother called out, her voice tinged with unease, but there was no response. The front door remained shut, the windows closed. It was as if the clown had vanished into thin air. A search of the house yielded nothing. The guests, unsettled and eager to leave, began making hurried excuses. Within minutes, the house emptied, leaving Tommy and his parents alone in the silence. That night, Tommy lay in bed, unable to sleep. His mind replayed the day's events, the tricks, the laughter, the strange disappearance. Just as he was beginning to drift off, a faint rustling noise reached his ears. He sat up, heart pounding. The sound came from the corner of his room. Slowly, he turned his gaze toward his closet, where his pile of birthday gifts lay stacked. His breath hitched. There, perched atop the largest box, was the coin, the very same coin Mr. Jingles had tried to hand him. Tommy's pulse quickened. He had not placed it there. He was certain of that. Trembling, he reached out and picked it up. The metal was ice cold against his palm. As he stared at it, a whisper drifted through the room, so soft he almost thought he imagined it. "Happy birthday, Tommy." The boy's scream shattered the silence. The next morning, his parents found him curled up in his blankets, shivering, the coin clutched tightly in his small hand. He refused to speak of what had happened. The joy of his birthday had faded, replaced by an inexplicable dread that seemed to shadow him wherever he went. Days turned into weeks, and the events of that night should have faded into memory. But Tommy was no longer the same. He avoided mirrors, refused to sleep with the lights off, and startled at the slightest sound. And every night, without fail, the coin would reappear on his bedside table, no matter how many times his parents took it away. It wasn't until his mother, desperate for answers, began researching the name Mr. Jingles that the true horror revealed itself. There had been others, other children, other birthdays, other clowns, and all of them had vanished. The reports were scattered, whispers of a figure that appeared at children's parties, offering tricks and treats before disappearing without a trace. And each time the last thing seen was a single, gleaming coin. Tommy's mother clutched the computer screen, her blood running cold. There was no record of hiring a clown, no receipt, no contact information. It was as if Mr. Jingles had never existed. Except, of course, for the coin.